Coming to you from Dynatrace Perform in Las Vegas, it's pure performance.
Hey, we're back. Hey, we're back live from the marketplace.
Yes, Dynatrace Perform 2019 in
Las Vegas.
Brian Wilson, Mark Tomlinson, and
James Pulley. And our next guest.
Our next celebrity guest,
From
JP
DXC
Mogenthal
Technology.
From DXC Technologies. Welcome, JP.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome. Have you ever been on a podcast before?
Many.
Really?
Yes.
Are we the
that's
most
awesome.
unprofessional one you've been on?
No.
Oh, good.
Not by far.
That's
Oh,
good. We can
that's
take
good.
some feedback. You know, we welcome that. But it's awesome to catch up with you
Thank
on
you.
DevOps, microservices, containers, and everything else that you were afraid
Lions
to
and
ask.
tigers and bears. Oh,
Oh,
my!
my. Yeah,
Well,
actually,
tell us about it.
Actually, it's funny. I just put out a blog with like every major name of every major emerging tech, and the last thing was "Oh my!" So
Yeah.
somebody else titled it for me, but we tend to go there, don't we? From that, see how the impact of the Wizard of Oz on our social culture,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Amazing stuff. Listen, I love this stuff. I really do. It's
Cool.
I've been doing technology since the early '80s, and
Yeah.
and I what really excites me is how all these things connect, right? And it's rare that we've had such a massive transformation or change going on simultaneously, where so many new components have emerged at the same time that have been transformational. And it's hard to decide, which ones will I pay attention to, which ones can I ignore, because I can't eat this elephant all in one bite.
Right.
So it's like, you have the microservices around some greenfield stuff, but also modernization. You have introduction of IoT. You have, container technology, which is maybe used to deploy your microservice, maybe not. Maybe
You
part of
have
your modernization.
functions as a service,
Functions as a-
Lambda,
oh,
and things of that nature.
And then you have the whole Agile and Devops going on
Yeah.
underneath it
Somewhere
all.
back there is a mainframe.
Somewhere
back
there's
there
always
is a
mainframe.
mainframe.
And
Of
someone
course,
behind
it's
a
now
curtain.
partitioned into Windows machines, but
Yeah, no worries. Not that that's a problem.
we were just even talking yesterday about running a VM in a container.
yes, that's
Inside
that's
a
that's
burrito
new thing,
wrapped in a
actually.
pizza.
Yeah, somebody was talking about that, right? They are now doing virtual machines in the container itself.
Yeah.
Well, the container is, let's face it, it's a great packaging scheme, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
But how do you know what to keep up with, though?
The biggest part of the container people don't realize isn't the container technology, because the separation of the process has been part of the Linux operating system for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's the addition and the packaging of the storage file system that it builds on that
Yeah.
keeps everything into that secure model that has really revolutionized all of this, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you start adding in the networking and the ability to have external volume control, and now you have these little packageable units that can travel. I mean, you can put data in there and send them to somebody. They're like little USB thumb drives, but in a file form.
It's a long way from using Ghost to sysprep servers
Right?
from bare metal.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you.
And there's still people doing that,
anyone
right?
shivering?
Containers on bare metal, Kubernetes on bare metal.
Yeah, that works.
It works. It's interesting stuff, but what's really crazy is how all this is coming at the same time. And I just, I know. I come from the integration days, right? I did a lot of SOA, a lot of the integration stuff, and that was complex enough. I mean, people never understood things like Corba and RMI. Right, I actually was one of the first people to do talks on RMI for Sun as an analyst.
Sure.
And the funny thing was, like, no one ever picked it up. No one really grokked it. It's like beyond. And then you add the orb from Corba into the RMI, and it's like, okay, I'm completely lost on this thing, right? So
we were on the other side of that, working in the performance testing universe, where we're having to test, DCOM, Corba, RMI.
there you go.
And all sorts of other different interfaces.
And it's hard because you got all that network. You have to understand network and network latency, and then you have to understand the machine CPU,
And you have to know where all the bugs are in a DTC.
I don't know what that means.
Distributed transaction
Oh,
coordinator.
in the DT.
Something
Okay,
you
yeah.
never wanted to use from
what's funny?
Microsoft, but couldn't avoid it.
This is psychologically an issue for me now. In DXC, we have the digital transformation centers.
Oh,
so
there
you say
go.
DTC, my mind goes right to digital transformation center.
No, I went somewhere worse. Boy, I'm just
much more dark.
Yeah,
I'm
much
just
more
falling.
darker.
It's the dark web. That's where
But
SQL DTC.
so
went.
I see companies starting to play with this stuff, but I just can't imagine how they can expect to have any level of maturity around the solutions that they're building on this, right?
Yeah.
And people, you read about these companies, oh, we've done this, and they make it sound like they've created this masterful thing using all these technologies, and then if you look under the hood on this stuff, right? I mean, you probably see it's like Hello World, right? Because people want to give it the press and shove it up and hype it, but the truth of the matter is, this stuff is so new. You can't know the ins and outs of every one of these technologies and how they work.
I love the recruiters that ask for a decade's worth of experience in a technology that's less than 18 months old.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking for somebody with 15 years of React JS.
Exactly. Yes.
Good luck with that one. Do you
And they'll-
expect to
and-
get paid this year?
And they'll find someone with a resume that says that.
Yeah.
Well, that's even scarier.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll make up anything to get a job. So tell us a little bit more about DXC.
Sure. So DXC is one of the largest IT professional services companies in the world. Cool. We are the product of the merger of CSC and HP Enterprise Services. Okay. So the group that had acquired EDS and managed the that service function. So strong heritage
And not CSC like CSC. This is the corporation.
Computer Sciences Corporation.
Computer Sciences Corp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, these are two companies, been around for many years, strong heritage in managed services, strong heritage in safe pair of hands, running businesses, billions of dollars of transactions and systems value, right?
Yeah.
And the heart of the company during the transformation, the reason why we picked a different name is because we really have embraced the digital era. And want to help companies transform. And we've spent a lot of money and time transforming ourselves through that merger.
Tell us more about that.
Well, I'll give you a great example. So one of the things that we've done is that we have, we're like any other company, we have system software that we need to run our business.
Right.
And this isn't, when you're a professional service organization, it's not Oracle off-the-shelf SaaS.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's some really unique stuff because you got ops, you got finance, you got, metering, you got some SaaS in there now, so you got service management. All the resourcing, delivery, right?
Yeah.
And your delivery might be on site, might be in a delivery center somewhere. So global companies, 70 countries, right?
And a highly mobile workforce, right?
Highly mobile.
Yeah.
So you put all that together, and clearly there's some software you need to help run that kind of business.
Right.
And so, we had a version that we, chose some pieces from each of the merged companies, but it wasn't, the long-term initiative.
Right.
We refocused internally and started building a platform to run our business on, and in doing that, we actually leveraged our internal product engineering teams and CIO teams and to work on this platform and use that opportunity. We're about to enter now the 8th what we call build-a-thons. We'll send 200-300 people to Bangalore, to Manila. Plano, Texas, right? And they will work 2 weeks straight, sleep, eat, code. That's, and they
Just
learned
crank.
how to do Agile. We use Agile, development tools. We have a CI/CD pipeline. So they learn what it's like to go through that, to actually deploy their code and into production and release and testing, all using, a common DevOps metaphor.
Cool.
And so, we've trained maybe, 1,000, 1,200 people now that used to probably work in old waterfall methods.
Yeah.
In how to live in an agile team.
Yeah.
Right.
And sprint hard for 2 weeks
it
in
really
a large
is,
group. Yeah.
Right? And because you think of professional services company, what's the one thing you can't do is ever take them out of the field to send them to training. Right. They never get to go to
That's the bench time statistic. No one likes to see MPSO.
Right.
Yeah.
Utilization down or something.
Yeah.
But, through this method, and this is what companies want. They want to know they shouldn't be looking in our box, right? Because you're buying a service, right? And you go to McDonald's and ask, "Can I walk around the kitchen?" You don't, but
Might not be a bad idea, though.
It may not be a bad idea, but customers come to us and they're like, "Well, can I see what's in the box? Can I see how you make the sausage?" Right?
Yeah.
I'm really into. It's important to me to understand how you make the sausage. So we walk them around our DTCs where we do design thinking on one floor, and then we take them to a floor where we put out together a backlog and a user case stories. We put them through minimal viable products, start to incrementally deliver. They immediately get value, from that process, right? So they want to see that we are really embracing and delivering in this way, and that they're not getting agile on the outside, waterfall on the inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Because they want the opportunity and the value that comes from agile, which is, I want to be able to, change something rapidly. I may want to decide that this feature is more important than that feature, and and I don't want to wait 6 months to determine that, right? So I want that collaboration and that involvement with my people, right? So really interesting stuff.
Cool. And how long from the merger? It's been 2.5 years?
It's almost 2 years now.
Almost 2 years.
April will be 2 years.
Yeah, so this has been going on this entire time.
Yeah.
Very cool. What brings you to Dynatrace? What's interesting about Dynatrace for you?
So Dynatrace partnership actually started when we were at CSC.
Okay.
We have a very strong relationship with Zurich, which we spoke with here.
Yeah.
I think they were one of the first customers to really introduce us to the Dynatrace product line. We actually have a management service that we had built for them way back around Dynatrace.
Cool.
And so, we got to know the company. That was when they were really APM. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they started talking to us about their plans for the future and where they're going. And we started to realize very quickly that the future, their future and our future is aligned very nicely. Yeah. APM is important, and but there's a number of different companies out there that can do it. But somebody who can actually map out the entire flow of an application infrastructure, it's northeast, west, south, right? It's
up and down.
Yeah, you know where everything's connected. You know how it's connected. You know where the problems are. At any point in time, and then the AI investment to help us identify root cause analysis. I mean, for a company whose job it is to keep mean time to repair very low. Yeah. I mean, they really, have demonstrated an ability that I think, is one of the tops in the market.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds very cool. And are there any particular announcements? We've had the AI Ops and the sort of open part of AI this week.
If you didn't see, we're Global Partner of the Year.
Exactly.
Oh, congratulations.
And also...
Well, you didn't mention that. You buried the lead.
Sorry. and then the next day, Rick Sullivan, who is our VP and GM for Application App Services, App Dev section, went on to talk about how we're committed with them in this ACM.
That's right. Autonomous Cloud Management.
Right, the Autonomous Cloud Program.
Cool.
Very strongly behind it. Aligns nicely with our Bionics program, but we have a program that in the marketplace is, competitive for other services, where you're basically looking to drive automation to reduce costs of delivery. Okay. So ours is Bionics. We leverage orchestration, intelligence, and automation as a way to identify waste and remove it from our customer environments and managed services.
Right. As well as being your mascot is Steve Austin.
Yeah.
We hadn't even thought about that. No, it's a Bionics with an X.
So close.
But the ACM storyline really aligns nicely with what we're doing there. And we're really, highly impressed with the organization as a whole. Yeah. There's good synergy in the field. Our sales teams are working well together.
That's good.
I mean, we consider them what we call in App Services an extreme partner. This is a group that we work closely with. They do sales training with us. We discuss pipeline with them. Yeah. This is a partner that, it's one of those rare circumstances where it's not Barney paper, but we're actually really driving value for our customers. And our customers love their product. They really do. Yeah. I mean, it's not often that you say the name. Oh, we like them. We have some of that.
Yeah. Have you ever introduced Dynatrace cold to an account? Like just like brand new in the door?
But with the I don't live out on the front lines.
No, yeah.
It's
exciting.
and
He's
it's
got
not a
people who
story
visit.
that's emerged, but we probably have, certainly in Europe, I think, or
Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah.
We definitely have had, where we brought this in as a concept, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool." It's it's part and parcel of our apps services automation
Right.
service automation offering.
Okay.
Right. So our service automation offering is about detect, correct, and then improve.
Yeah.
Right. So we walk customers through stage. They are our detect arm when we. So we try
Right.
to leverage as much as possible Dynatrace as the the main tool for the detect. Now you get some clients who are like, I'm already on X, I'm already on Y,
yeah.
and you can't help that. We got to live with that. But when we show them what Dynatrace does,
Yeah.
they also are like, oh, this is cool stuff. How do I get this?
My other stuff can't do that, maybe.
Yeah. Do you leverage any of the other integrations via the API or plugins into pipelines? Based on not just what you can see in the browser version of Dynatrace, but all the back-end integrations that can be done?
Yeah, we're also one of the largest ServiceNow integrators on the planet.
Really?
With Fruition Partners, we
That's a huge
acquired,
piece.
and CSC, and so now we have a huge ServiceNow practice.
Wow, yeah.
And so, as you know, they're peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah.
Dynatrace and ServiceNow, right?
This
It's
is
the
really
second
amazing.
reference to Reese's Peanut Butter Cups this week.
Well,
Oh,
I
look
think
at
there was a few out here yesterday. They put those
Oh,
out.
they may, all right.
Maybe it got in everyone's
Maybe
mind.
it got people
So
thinking
everyone-
about it.
yeah.
No. But yes, I mean, so they really are, and so we leverage that integration. But also, we're going to be heavily leveraging their APIs as part of our automation platform. That I was talking about earlier that we run
Yep.
our business on. We're going to be leveraging a big part of the ACM as well.
Yeah.
We're going to be a big proponent of helping our customers understand how that APM works and how you're shifting left.
Yeah.
Based on moving the testing earlier on in the process, and then of course that gets into a lot of leveraging their APIs and their tagging architecture.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. The are there any? I was mentioning like the free dev tools or the session replay. We've been kind of digging in the announcements.
We
week.
really haven't gotten into session replay, which I think is very, very cool. I think that is that's a whole other area of ops that
Yeah.
and it really gets down to trying to troubleshoot some things, right? So you really got to get to the point where you're using Dynatrace effectively, into the L3 level of
sure.
support,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so I think it's coming. It's just not there yet. I think they're a little early on what that thing does and how it works. Now, on the network side, that you have something like NetWitness, which does that and for packet relay and stuff like that. People love it. So it's just a matter of time to catch up and understand the ability of this product to be able to help you understand exactly what's going on in your apps. Those bugs that you just I give up.
Yeah.
Why won't this work? Right?
Yeah.
We all have them built over time, right? It's like, and then you get the way back and you go, look at that. Okay, I missed that one completely.
What about the developer tools free for life? I mean, that seems like very disruptive from a market perspective, with great benefits.
Well, we're not an end user customer in typical way, so I think that's great for their direct customers. But with us, it's nominal. We have such a different relationship in how we go to market and how we work together. So.
I have an out of the blue question. Kind of. We mentioned all these funny old technologies just because funny old technologies are funny. But
You mean like Microsoft Bob?
Microsoft Bob, Clippy,
Clippy.
yeah. But honestly, like the title of our live episode is like DevOps, microservices, containers, and all that jazz. These are you seem like you're in a spot where you get to play in the sandbox and witness all of this stuff both internally and with your customers.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So my question is like, there's so much new stuff. What are the things that keep companies from just kind of big hug and bring all this stuff together?
No slack. The biggest issue we've continually seen with businesses is that there's no slack in the schedule, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's just no time. You need people. People need time to sit and learn, right? Where are these developers all coming from that are available and know it? They're working on their own time. They're doing stuff. I do it myself, right? Udemy courses, Udacity courses, right? Yep. Huge opportunity, right? Training programs like the academy that they have online, right? You put yourself through it when you have 20 minutes, 30 minutes, right? Yep. You watch a few episodes and you pick it up, right? Yeah. And that's kind of the way it goes. And and those people, by the way, are rare, and they'll do they're starting to see benefit in their own careers. But when you go out there for a company like ours, where we're highly dependent on the human knowledgeable resources, right? There is not an abundance of microservices engineers and architects. There are not an abundance of container experts, right? Now, there are a bunch of people out there that claim they are, right? But
real hands-on, years in the trenches.
Somebody can walk in and look at your system and go, "Yeah, let me tell you exactly what's going to happen here," right? Yeah.
They don't exist yet.
Well, they really haven't, and the ones that do are working for startups that are focusing on delivering tools around this, right?
Right.
So Pivotal right there, it's right across from us, right? Cloud Foundry, Pivotal, PCF developers, extremely hard to find in the industry. I mean, very rare breed. Because it requires you to understand not only how to write code, anybody could write the code, but how to build a cloud native application, and understand, and in some ways be full stack knowledgeable. Right? In that context, And then you have on the operations side, which is also a big aspect of this for us, the site reliability engineering, thinking, right? And as described by the person who created this SRE team, SRE is what would happen if you told developers to go build an operations organization. So
thank you, Google.
I get it. I mean, you want that automation. You want that. So, the funny thing is, I had way back in 2010, the Gent had just really recently happened, and I found myself into the DevOps community through my network, and I got to have some talks with Patrick Dubois.
Oh yeah,
and I got his story and what led to all this. Gent for him. Why did you do it? And he was like, well, I work in the middle of the dev and the ops teams. In the
doing both jobs.
He works over. He was in state government in Belgium, and he said one, I was highly impressed by the rigor that some of the dev teams were demonstrating following this Agile Manifesto, and I didn't understand why the ops team didn't have a similar thing. Why didn't they have an Agile Manifesto for all their development work and their scripts? I mean, Lord knows, we've been scripting for years. Does anybody know what set and awk is? I mean, this is not new stuff, people, okay? If you think this was all created in the last 2 years, you're wrong.
These utilities did not write themselves.
Exactly, all right? Yak set, Lex, Yak, awk set, all right? If you don't know what those are, then go out and learn history, all right? Because this wasn't done last year or 2 years ago, right? This is, but what he appropriately recognized, and you got to appreciate this, is there was no rigor around it, right?
Or structure.
Right. If something had to be done, you had to call Jim or Susie who wrote the stuff. Because nobody else knew how to kick it off or what it did, right? And nobody knew how to change it, right? But now all of a sudden, we have infrastructure as code. We have this stuff defined as, YAML, and it goes into the Git, and it's part of the testing process now. So he's brought about a really cool change in the industry by really just saying, I learned something cool over here. We're in the same industry. It's not even like I learned this from automotive and I'm applying it to finance. This is, I learned this in another half IT, and you guys aren't doing this, right? So I think that's pretty cool. To me, that's the most exciting part of this DevOps story, is watching what Patrick saw, really start to be embraced and go. People go, I got no good answer why we're not.
And that makes sense.
Let's get rid of the heroes, and then you have Project Phoenix.
Oh yeah,
right.
What was his name? Chuck? Carl?
Started with
Steve?
It was no, was it?
Trey? No,
Trey,
no.
Something like that.
Yeah, the hero guy, right?
It was,
we all know who I'm talking about, right?
Close the door, don't talk to him, put pizza under it.
Exactly.
Doesn't wear shoes and doesn't shower. Wait a minute, that's me. Exactly. But honestly, all of those things, like you say, bringing about change, there's still a target customer that's a large enterprise that hits a tipping point where they're like, we need to start adopting these things in transformation. So what does that look like when you see a customer that's like, this is kind of how we guide them through a transformation?
Well, we've had to go and develop enablement, and the enablement, actually, we have some really great enablement programs that came over with HP Enterprise Services into the merger, and we have green belt, white belt, and yellow belt dojo. We have a black belt dojo that really walk people through the history as it's explained to me, because I'm a CSCer.
Yeah.
But the history as it was explained to me was it actually originated with Gary Groover, who's well known in the DevOps industry.
Yeah.
When he was on the HP printer team.
That's right.
And the whole, hey, we got to put out quality software in the printer.
Yep.
So these practices originate all the way back to then. The dojo concepts and training people on how to do this all originated from that.
Cool.
And we have that content updated for today's DevOps world.
And again, where you're saying just there's no slack there's no room in the schedule for these companies when they're already flying at 600 miles an hour.
Well, so one of the first things we do with our customers that are interested in help is we do a value stream mapping.
Okay.
And during that value stream mapping, we identify bottlenecks and constraints, areas where there's latency and areas where there are holdups.
Cool.
And then we target those immediately, and by targeting that waste and that latency, we begin to introduce Slack into the process. Yeah. And then you can use that Slack effectively.
Yeah, to re-enable and start more transformation activity. And then there is a tipping point.
Then
where
there's that
eventually,
tipping, right? Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you now. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I used to do a lot of public speaking on DevOps.
Sure.
And I, with the get starting point, I was at that point in the conference, talking phase. And so my last slide, how would you get started? What if you had one thing you could do that you should do this year? What would it be? And it was always, introduce Slack into this. Find out how to introduce Slack into your schedule.
Yeah, and then come up with a strategy to use it.
Right.
To create more Slack and get you to the next step.
Because without that Slack, there's no time. I mean, if you're always putting out the fires, you never get out of the cycle. It's the vortex of death.
It was the guy in the Phoenix Project who was just drinking himself to death and going to quit.
And he he wasn't going to quit. I don't remember.
Oh, no,
he was just the hero. Everybody had to call him to do everything.
No, it was the other guy who was like
guy?
they're pulling his hair out. Remember, it was like, let's go out and just have some one-on-one time and
But the interesting thing about the Slack time you're talking about, so we've had on our podcast a few times Donovan Brown from Microsoft, VSTS team, and he's a big proponent of saying, no matter what you're doing, find 15 minutes in your day, not outside of your work hours, but during your work hours, to watch one of those class videos, to read one of those articles, to do it. Because his whole point, and again, he's coming from the luxury working in Microsoft, but I think it's kind of realistic for anybody to say, if something is going to fall apart because of 15 minutes, it's going to fall apart with that 15 minutes too.
Yeah, people can be 100% utilized.
Right.
Yeah.
So finding that time and just making a little bit work, and as you're saying, 20 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes here, you can start getting into a cycle of getting to those places, right? And obviously a lot of people are going to have to do some of this stuff after hours.
Right.
But there's also, one of the themes was today is let's make a better life for ourselves, and all this. So take that 15 minutes, end of your day, beginning of your day, watch a bit,
or script something.
Yeah.
Right. If you find yourself typing the same thing 20 times, script it.
Yeah. One of my colleague, Andy Grabner, he actually got it from Wilson Marr, who did a what's the future of a performance tester kind of thing, or tips to keep yourself relevant in performance testing. Yeah. Was find something you do every day and learn how to automate it.
Well, isn't it the guy with the 7-day work week, the 4-day work week, who hired some team people in India to basically automate his entire job?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to have them do it to pay them out of my own salary,
right?
And then I'm not working anymore. That works. I like it. It's really nice to catch up with you.
Thank you.
JP.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
How can people tune in? Twitter handle, etc.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Twitter handle is at JP Mogenthal, Morgenthal.
Yep.
I have a website where I do some blogging, jpmorgenthal.com, and of course, DXC.com.
DXC.com.
Excellent.
Very cool. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.